Hi, I'm Nicole Roberts-Jones, and welcome to The Fierce Files. Now, what I know for sure is that one of life's greatest gifts will meet you when you go after your more. And so here is why I share with you thought-provoking insight and behind-the-curtain conversations with women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. Now, I really want you to get this. One idea from these episodes can make a remarkable difference, not just in your career, but in your life. And I want to make sure you join the conversation in our Facebook group. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com. Now grab your pen and get ready for today's session of The Fierce Files. Hello and welcome to this episode of The Fierce Files. And I got to tell you, today I'm super duper excited because I have one of the women that has probably known me longer than most people, over 20 years. And her name is Dr. Holly Carter. So Holly is the president and CEO of Relevé Entertainment, leading one of the premier management, development, and production companies for family and faith-inspired content, artists, and brands. Now, as a producer, Holly and Relevé Entertainment have been responsible for TV shows like Fix My Choir, Oxygen's Preachers of franchise, and movies like The Gospel and The Mix. As a talent manager, her roster includes artists such as Usher, Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, Kiara Sheard, and I could go on and on and on, right? But the thing I got to tell you that I love about Holly the most is her commitment to her faith, as witnessed in her annual produced event, The Merge Summit, one of the largest education events for people of faith in the entertainment industry, and plus the fact that she's the chair of Freedom of Spirit, an outreach ministry which is dedicated to serving the homeless and less fortunate in South LA. And she's done that for over 35 years. So I can go on and on. I've only given you a glimpse, but you've got to know that this woman is a powerhouse, and I'm super excited to welcome her for some of you and introduce her to others of you. So Dr. Holly, welcome.
Thank you.
Yay, excited to have you. So we're going to go right in. So what I know from, Holly and I kind of cut our teeth in the entertainment industry together, like back in the 90s. And so it's been such a wonderful journey from someone that's gotten to watch your trajectory in the business, right? And knowing that it hasn't been an easy journey. But tell us, what was your defining moment that really shaped your experience and had you really pivot in a moment that probably wasn't easy for you to make that decision?
You know what? I think I had two defining moments. And both of them were when two very important clients decided to go in another direction. And one, the Lord had told me it was over and I was disobedient. And the other, it came out of, them thinking one thing and then doing something completely different. I mean, they ended up turning around and coming back, and we still have our relationship and we still work together. But the one that hurt the most was the one in the Christian space. And I think it hurt the most because I knew the Lord had said, time's up. It's time for you to transition. It's time for you to pivot. And I had gotten comfortable. And I just, I was like, no, I'm straight. This is fine. And 3 months after I heard the Lord say what he told me to do, they took me to breakfast and fired me.
Right. And I want to just stop right there, because what I know for sure is somebody just needed that. And I know she's going to go deeper into it, but I want you guys to get this. What she said was, some of you will hear God's voice. Some of you will hear it or feel it in your soul that that you need to let something go, whether that's a job, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a client, whatever that is. And because she didn't let it go, she got comfortable. And I'm just stopping with that because here's what I know. And Stephen Furtick said this somewhere, that it's fear is not the enemy of faith. It's familiarity. And it's when we get comfortable, it's sitting in comfort. And when God is causing us to stretch and grow, it's not going to be comfortable. So I just needed to stop there. Because somebody needed just that today. So keep going, because this is good. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And listen, it has been good for me. It's that scripture that said it was good for me that I was afflicted because I learned your statutes and I learned your ways. And that's literally it. Once I went through that, I learned about obedience. Obedience is better than sacrifice. When God speaks to you, if you don't move, there's going to always be a consequence. And I didn't move. So I sat in, months and months of shame and feeling like, I was embarrassed. I didn't want to be seen. It was terrible. And the crazy thing is, like a month prior to that, I was sitting with Derek Williams, who runs all of T.D. Jakes Enterprises. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know what, Holly? It's been, I watched you since you did the gospel and all the stuff you were doing with Usher. He says, but when I think about you and kind of where you are now, you remind me of you and I had come to a red light. He said, this is the best way I can describe it. Because you and I are driving. We both come to a red light. The light turns green. I left, but you stayed there at the green light. And I was like, huh? Are you saying? He was like, yeah, I feel like you got stuck. And I don't know why and I don't know when, but I feel like you got stuck at the green light. And I knew exactly what he was saying. And then a couple months after that, the Lord spoke and told me to move. I didn't. So 3 months after that, he moved me. And like I said, I spent that time, really just frustrated. And one of my intercessors said, you can wallow if you want, but here's what I'm going to tell you that you need to do. You need to repent. You need to release the spirit of offense, and you need to forgive them. When you do that, God is going to release a flood. And I did every single thing she said. I had to repent, for not being obedient. When God said move, I didn't. I had to release the spirit of offense because I was offended by what happened. And then lastly, I had to forgive them because at the end of the day, they had every right to make that decision. And, and God was with them too. They may not have done everything right in the way it was done, but God was going to take care of that. And when I released it and asked God to forgive me for being complacent and disobedient, when I tell you the window of heaven opened, that's almost an understatement. It's almost an understatement. And when I look back, I'm grateful for the experience because it taught me whenever you hear his voice, the scripture also tells you, harden not your heart because there's something he's trying to get through to you. So pay attention.
So let's talk about this for a minute, because what resonated with me is, and I'm saying this because I know I've come to this moment, and I know many of you that are listening, you've come to this moment. If you haven't, you will, that you have to learn to do it afraid. The comfort is we're looking for it to be easy. And God, let me tell you, I heard one of my girlfriends say, God doesn't give you a vision checking your bank account. He's not checking your bank account. He's checking your faith. And so it's never going to be an easy way. So tell us about that moment. I mean, obviously that moment you learned something, but then that wasn't your only moment where you had to do it afraid, right?
I do everything I do afraid. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because if I'm doing everything with full, total 100% safety, 100% confidence, then I'm not taking any risk.
Right.
I'm not going out on a limb. And one of my favorite thoughts is, go out on a limb because that's where the fruit is. So I believe in going out. I believe in taking chances. I believe in doing things that is hard for me because that's where the blessing, the benefit, the glory, that's where the growth is.
Right.
When you are able to tackle something that you may not be equipped to handle. But that scripture, I can do all things through Christ, that's real. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And, as long as you keep that word in front of you, you can do exactly what you believe you can do. And you can also do what you believe you can't.
Right.
So whatever, what a man thinketh in his heart, that's exactly who he is.
And what I know for sure in, watching your trajectory, right? Because what most people, they might look at you and look at your journey and think, oh, it's been easy. And because I love that you said, I do everything I do afraid. Because anytime you get an offer on your table that you ain't never had before, or you get a client that comes through that door that you've never served someone like that, it's scary, right?
Right.
And
yeah,
so it's muscling up. Okay. So, and I always say to myself, when I'm doing something that I feel like I'm clueless, I'm like, okay, Lord, you must think I'm the bomb.com. So let me find that power that's in me somewhere. Because if you put it in front of me, that means there's power in me somewhere to do it. So let me trust that all things, not some things, all things work together for the good. And I'm going to figure it out in the moment when I get there. And it always happens. But it doesn't happen before. It happens in the process of it. We're going to stop here and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for more. Ladies, do you have your ticket to the 2018 Be the Answer 2-day intensive? Well, this is my invitation for you to join me in Boston for an event filled with other women just like you on a mission for more. Now, your more could be to get clear on how your intellectual property can and should produce your paycheck. Or maybe your more is to start your business alongside your big corporate job. Or your more could be to generate multiple streams of income in your current business, or anything in between. You need to be in the room. Log on to BeTheAnswerEvent.com to learn more and register. Now listen, it's me and you for 2 days, where I give you the step-by-step action you need to move your business into real profit right now. Be the Answer is an event where I give you the tools you need to create and sustain a business that you're passionate about, all while showing you how to generate multiple streams of income. I can't wait to see you there. So tell us, what has standing in your truth really done? Because the thing that I honor about you the most, Holly, is in an industry. Now, nowadays, there's more faith-based TV out there, right? But you were doing this before anybody else was. So in an industry that didn't at the time necessarily honor faith, what was standing your truth like for you in those early days?
You know, it was all a matter of, being willing to, taking a stand not to compromise. I think my truth was not being willing to compromise. So I don't care what it was, a deal, a client, an opportunity. You were not going to catch me compromising and putting my guards down in an effort to win something.
Right.
There's just no way.
Right.
There's no way I could do that and still feel good about myself.
I'm sure, and you taking a stand, there were times you missed deals, you missed clients because you took a stand.
Oh, of course. Of course. But I was fine with that.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, it's for me, it's going to always be about my integrity over everything, because I'm a mom.
Yep.
And I've got to make sure that my daughter is comfortable with what she sees in me, and my husband is proud of how I'm representing the family. So,
right.
And then, I'm very active in my church. So my church members and people, they follow pretty much everything I do. So I've got to be real mindful of things that I do, and because I need to be held accountable.
Yep. But even, and that's the thing I honor about you the most, because in an industry where so many people do whatever it takes, right? And they forget about their values. They forget about their principles. They forget about who they are. And even as I'm saying this, it makes me think of Black Panther, when in that scene where T'Challa, if I'm saying his name right, was in that first fight, and he had gotten hit, and he was on the ground or in the water. And Angela Bassett, his mom, said, "Remember who you are." And it was when she said that, it just clicked into him, and he got up and he was able to win that fight. And so for you, I love that you have not compromised who you are. You have not given that up. And for you, I know, so oftentimes that was hard. So for the ladies that are in that place right now, for the ladies that are looking for the strategy to be able to be who they are in a place that may not allow them to do that, can you give them 3 steps or give them some kind of tools that they can use to honor who they are and not compromise?
I think honoring who you are it's gonna start with your conviction. So you got to have conviction. You've got to have conviction. And if you don't have convictions, it's just like if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything.
Right.
So you got to have convictions, and you've got to be a woman of substance and purpose, because if that is who you are, it's going to dictate what you do. And I think the other part of it is your faith. Just believing that if God said this was yours, it's yours. A lot of times we've got to operate in blind faith and know that what we are going after, God has already promised. And if he promised it, he's going to deliver it. If he said it, it's going to be what it is. And so I have been firm on my conviction. I've been firm that everything I touch connects with my purpose. And I've been very intentional that my faith guides and dictates what I do.
I love that. So number 1, conviction. if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And I remember my mother used to tell me that too. And I didn't know what that meant in high school when I was picking these boys I had no business to pick, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? But I get it now as a grown woman. Faith. Number two, if God said it to you, and here's the thing. I love you said blind faith, because even in the definition of faith, Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But oftentimes people are looking for evidence or looking for, and if God is going to do something, he may not show you. He might just tell you, and you got to believe it. And you've got to believe in blind faith. I love that. And then you got to be intentional. You've got to set an intention. Sometimes women get this big vision, and I've heard so many countless women that I've had I've been blessed to coach and teach, come to me with a vision. I'm like, okay, well, what action steps are you taking? And they're like, I don't know. Well, hello. It's like when God told Noah to make the ark, he started making a blueprint. It's like, what intention are you doing? What action steps are you taking to get toward that vision? It doesn't happen. You got to have vision and provision. You can't have one without the other. So this is so good, Holly. You've given so much. And I know Holly's preparing for a big meeting, so I want to make sure and honor your time. So if there was anything, as you think about your daughters, you think about the young women to come behind you and the legacy that you are building as you do the work you do, what would be something that you would want her to know as she is in her journey to more?
What would I want her to know? You know what? I think the very same thing that I shared with you. I want her to be a woman of conviction, a woman of purpose, and a woman of circumstance. And a woman of her faith. Mm-hmm. But I think what is also important is that she understands the importance of relationships. Relationships that you are building your tribe, your village, that relationships are key, because when you offend, when you disregard, and when you overstep relationships, it hinders the process. And yes, God has your back, but the Bible says in business be men. We are always supposed to be gentle men and women and courteous when we are dealing and handling relationships, because the guy that is the gatekeeper today will have the keys to the city tomorrow.
Right.
And if we don't manage the relationships and how we treat people on each level, that will come back to hurt us in a very big way. So I'm really big on her with relationships. I'm very key. Call them a person. Say thank you. Call them and let them know you got them. She does a lot of internships with, she wants to be an architect engineer with a specific focus on real estate development. And so I put her in season with different high-end real estate brokers and developers. And so when we're done, it's like, call them and tell them, thank you so much for that.
Right.
Send them this, send them that. And so for me, she's a young entrepreneur right now. She's got a bow business, a unique hair design bow business that we are pushing. So my thing is stay with it, be focused, be consistent, have conviction.
Yep. That's good. That's good. Now, my last question that I want to ask you, because it keeps coming up as you share this stuff, because everything you've been sharing is really, really yummy. And by the way, as you're listening, ladies, please post your takeaways in our Facebook group. Again, the Facebook group is findyourfiercemovement.com. So listen, I want to go back to that moment when you were just starting in your career. That moment where you may have had your first child. I'm trying to remember, it's been a while, but that moment when you knew that you had to do something different, that you couldn't be like everybody else. Can you go back and tell us about that moment? Because I know there was a decision you had to make to stand firm in your conviction and your faith and being intentional. Tell us about that moment.
I think that moment started for me when I got into the business. I mean, it's what you're called. If you're a person that's in tune with destiny, you know from the beginning what you were supposed to be, what you were supposed to be. And a lot of times, we get off, we go through seasons. So I get that. I get that we don't always connect with the destiny, but destiny is there. The scripture says he knew us in the womb. So destiny has always been there. He already knew. And so when you connect with it is when it becomes real for you. And I think there were different moments in my life where where it either became real, it became a reminder, And when it became, all right, now you tripping. And so I feel like there were several areas. I mean, when I moved out of casting into agenting, out of agenting into managing. And the last round of agenting, I was like, there's got to be more to this than this. There has to be more than just bringing somebody to the door and then passing them through. Right. There has to be a way for me to impact better with what I'm supposed to do. And I'll never forget one year I was in Florida, literally on the floor in the convention center during one of the Bynum, I think it was called the threshing room floor. And it was in her heyday. It was when she was, she was really on the rise. And I was on the floor praying in between services and crying out. And I heard the Lord say, concerning my call to the industry, I heard him say, many are calling, but you, my daughter, many are coming, but you, my daughter, I have called. And I heard it just as clear as I'm speaking now. And when I heard that, that was the redefining moment. I knew my defining moment, but that redefined my hunger, my push, my intention around this, what I'm doing now. And so that was a really important place for me to hear from him. So when you hear from him, that should give you, the unction you need to move into your real destiny. But then when you hear that, you got to move. It's just like when you hear God tell you to go a different direction. If you don't move, you suffer from the consequences of your disobedience.
Right. Right. That is so good. And I just want to acknowledge this because, Holly, you have such a keen relationship with God. And I'm saying relationship on purpose because so many people focus on religion and it comes with the relationship. And so oftentimes we're so busy on what we're doing and it's not in what we're doing. It's in our being that God speaks. And I want you guys to get this. So, and I said this to a client the other day, it's not in your busyness. It's in your silence that God is going to speak. Right. And so I really want you to get that. And I'm not saying he doesn't speak ever in busyness, but sometimes we are so busy that we can't hear him because we're too busy. Being busy. It's like, and when do you have alone time? And when do you sit in quiet contemplation so you can get poured into? It's like we plug our cell phones in and we get our cell phones charged, but when the heck do you get charged? Right. And so let's end with this. Tell us, Holly, for you, because everything you have said has been so yummy. So, and as I'm thinking of words to say, it is really a faith walk and it's really a relationship and it's really in growing in your relationship and being tied to your source. So for you, Holly, what does that look like? A busy woman, a wife, a mom running an empire, right? What does tapping into the source look like for you on a daily basis?
Early morning, downstairs in my room when everybody is asleep.
Yep.
And then door closed, music on, reading, praying, or walking. So I do it early morning because that's when I can hear, that's when I can talk.
Right.
And then that's when I can get away from, my husband, because my husband is, I call him the carnal one in the bunch. He's the jokester. So if he walks in and I'm praying, or if I'm doing something, if I'm reading, I have a book open, he'll come in and he'll call me somebody like Mother Teresa or Mother Rivers. And I'm like, will you get out of here so I can pray for us? You mind?
Right.
Right. So he's that guy. But for me, I find that time away from everyone right in that room. And, you have to do it because it helps you think better for the day. It's like exercise. You do it every morning, then, you're in a healthy state and you can move throughout your day.
Well, Holly, you've given us so much to think about, and I really do appreciate you for your commitment, not just to the kingdom, well, of course, to the kingdom, but for your commitment to make sure women and families and generations get to the abundance that is theirs for the taking. It's phenomenal to have watched you over the years, and I just honor you for just your commitment to do the work that you're doing. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lum Lum.
And don't ask me what Lum Lum means. That's a code with Holly and I. That's a code for Holly and I. So with that, girl, thank you. I appreciate you for being a part of the Fierce Files.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Fierce Files. Now, I want you to walk away from these episodes with value, so grab your pen and answer either one or all three of these questions. Number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what would you do differently as a result of what you heard? So you may have heard something you've already heard before, or you may have learned something new. Either way, don't take the insight that was shared with you for granted. So commit to doing one thing different because of what you heard. Number three, what was confirmation for you? What did you hear that confirmed you're on the right path? See, I want you to take a moment and celebrate you. Too often in our journey, we focus on what we're not doing and we forget to celebrate what we are doing. So what was something that showed you that you're headed in the right direction? Now, I want you to share your answers. Share your answer to either number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what would you do different? Or number three, what was confirmation for you? And share it in our Facebook community. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com and use the hashtag FierceFiles. Now, each experience we encourage, support, and celebrate as a community. It allows us to expand in possibility and wisdom, in encouragement and love. Now, we've invited you into our community to deepen our journey with being the answer someone needs and in being committed to your next level. So until the next time, be extraordinary, be unapologetic, be bodaciously you, go and be fierce.